Salamun alaikum, my dear friends. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of the Almighty be upon you all on this beautiful day of reflection. I pray that your hearts are filled with tranquility and your homes with the light of faith as we embark on this journey together. Imagine waking up in a room you have known for 30 years, yet you cannot touch the walls. You see your family gathering in the hallway, their faces etched with a grief that looks like a heavy gray shadow. You reach out to comfort your daughter, to tell her that the pain in your chest is finally gone, but your hand passes through her shoulder like a breath of wind. This is the first realization of the 40 days, the shock of being present yet invisible. According to the deep insights of scholars like Imam al-Ghazali, the soul remains deeply connected to its earthly home during this initial period. It is not a prisoner yet, but a silent observer. The spirit hovers in the corners of the ceiling, watching the flickering candles and listening to the muffled sobs. There is a profound paradox here. You are more awake than you have ever been, but you have no voice to speak. You see the sincerity in some eyes and the hollow performance in others. You watch as they move your furniture, as they decide which of your clothes to keep and which to give away. In these moments, the soul feels a sharp sting of detachment. Everything you spent a lifetime building is being rearranged in a single afternoon. The grave beckons, but the heart clings. The soul visits its body in the cemetery, standing over the mound of fresh earth. It looks down at the silent white shroud and remembers the warmth of skin and the strength of bone. But the body is now a vessel that has sailed its course. The soul tries to return to the comfort of the familiar, flying back to the house where the scent of dinner still lingers in the air. It sits at the empty chair at the table. It watches the sunset from the porch, but with each passing day of these 40, the colors of the earthly world begin to fade, replaced by the shimmering, terrifying, and beautiful light of the Barzakh. This is the beginning of the great unbinding. Every prayer whispered in your name by a loved one feels like a drop of cool water on a parched throat. Every verse of the noble Quran recited for you becomes a lamp in the growing dimness. You realize, perhaps for the first time, that your wealth was never in your bank account, but in the hearts of those who truly loved you for the sake of Allah. Glory be to Him, the Exalted. The soul begins to understand that the first 40 days are not just a goodbye to the world, but a slow, necessary preparation for the meeting with the Creator. The air in the house has changed. It no longer smells of the coffee you loved or the perfume you wore. It smells of dust, of old paper, and the cold scent of transition. As the soul, you are no longer a participant, you are a witness. And sometimes being a witness is heavier a punishment than any physical pain. You float through the hallway, moving toward the voices in the living room. These are the voices of your children, your siblings, your closest kin, but they are not talking about your soul, they are talking about your things. You see your eldest son holding your watch, the one you worked 3 summers to buy, the one that ticked against your wrist for 20 years. You see him looking at it, not with memories of your hand, but with an eye for its market value. A sharp, icy needle of regret pierces your spiritual essence. You want to shout, "That was my life, that was my time," but your voice is a shadow. You watch as they open your drawers, uncovering secrets you thought you would take to the grave. Every document, every hidden photograph, every coin is laid bare under the harsh light of greed. You see them argue over a piece of land, a bank account, or a car. Their voices rise, their faces turn red, and in that moment you realize the terrifying truth. You spent 60 years building a kingdom for people who cannot wait 60 minutes to divide it.
This is where the true 40 days of pain begins. It is not the pain of the grave, It is the pain of realizing what you prioritized. You see your daughter sitting in the corner, her tears genuine, her heart breaking for the parent she lost. You try to wrap your ethereal arms around her to give her the peace of your presence, but you are a ghost in your own home. And then you see the others, the ones who are already planning the renovation of your house while your body is still fresh in the earth. You see the insincerity in the guests who come for the funeral prayers, checking their phones while the noble Quran is being recited. You see the world moving on, erasing your footprint before the dust has even settled on your headstone. A desperate, wild desire takes hold of you, the desire to go back, not to live another 60 years, but for just 1 minute, just 60 seconds, to hold that watch one last time and give it to a person in need, to take that money they are fighting over and build a well in a thirsty land, to tell your grieving daughter that Allah, glory be to Him the Exalted, is the only one who stays when everyone else leaves. You realize that you died with your pockets full of things that now belong to others, and your soul arrives in the Barzakh with only the things you gave away. The weight of your possessions is now their burden, but the weight of your deeds is your only companion. As the sun sets on the 7th day, the connection to the physical walls of your home begins to thin. You are being pulled away, centimeter by centimeter, toward the deep, silent mystery of the grave. You look back at the light in the window one last time. You see your family sitting down to eat, laughing at a joke, the void you left behind already beginning to close. The realization hits like a wave of cold ocean water. The world does not need you. It never did. Only your Creator remains. The transition into the grave is not a physical movement. It is a shift in reality. Suddenly, the wooden walls of the casket are not boundaries, but a vast horizon. The darkness is not the absence of light, but a presence of its own. It is heavy, like velvet pressing against your spiritual essence. You remember the fear you had of small spaces when you were alive, but here the space feels infinite. And then the sound begins. It is the sound of sandals on gravel. Thump, thump, thump. It is the sound of your family leaving. You hear the footsteps grow fainter, 100 steps, 200 steps, until finally there is a silence so absolute that you can hear the heartbeat of the earth itself. You are alone. For the first time in your existence, there is no phone to check, no clock to watch, and no voice to distract you from yourself. Then, the atmosphere of the grave shifts. The air becomes charged with an electric, terrifying majesty. The walls of your narrow home seem to expand into a grand hall of judgment. Two beings manifest. Their voices are not heard with ears, but felt in the very core of your being, like thunder rolling through a valley. They are Munkar and Nakir, the angels of the questioning. They do not look at your clothes, your titles, or your degrees. They look through you. Their eyes are like blue lightning, illuminating every dark corner of your memory. They ask the questions that define the journey. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is this man who was sent among you? In this moment, your tongue cannot lie. In the world, you were clever. You could argue, you could hide behind complicated words, but here, your tongue is a witness. If you lived for Allah, glory be to Him the Exalted, the answer flows from you like honey. But if you lived for yourself, if you lived for the watch your son is currently wearing, the words stick in your throat like dry sand. You realize that the first 40 days were a gift of time to prepare for this interrogation. Every prayer you missed feels like a missing rung on a ladder. Every act of kindness you performed becomes a candle that suddenly flickers to life, pushing back the shadows. As the questioning ends, a window opens in the wall of your grave. If the answers were true, a breeze from paradise drifts in. It smells of musk and of peace that the world could never provide. You see your place in eternity, a garden of light. But if the answers were hollow, a heat touches your spirit, showing you the shadow of what could have been. The soul cries out with a vibration of pure regret. You want to go back to find your grieving daughter one last time and tell her, "Do not cry for my body, cry for my deeds, pray for my light." But the gate is closing. The world of the living is becoming a distant, fading dream, and the reality of the Barzakh is your only home. The dawn of the 40th day breaks over the world, but it is a sun you no longer seek. For 6 weeks you have been a traveler between two shores. Today, the gravity of the earth is losing its hold. The spiritual magnetism that kept you tethered to the smell of the morning rain is fading. The 40th day is the moment of the great unbinding. It is the day the soul's time in the earthly realm officially expires.
You stand one last time in the garden. You see your spouse sitting on the bench, holding a cup of tea that has gone cold. For a fleeting second, their eyes pass right through your essence. In the beginning, this caused you a sharp, burning pain. But now, as the 40th day reaches its peak, that pain has transformed into a profound peace. You realize that your work here is finished. The story of you in the book of the world is being closed. The ink is drying, and the angels are waiting to carry the volume to the great library of deeds. You look at your home, and it looks like a dollhouse from a distance. Small, temporary, a beautiful but brief dream. The shift begins as the sun reaches the middle of the sky. The sounds of the world start to transform. The honking of cars and the laughter of neighbors harmonize into a single, distant hum. It is the sound of the world receding. You feel a pull from above. The veil of the Barzakh, which was once a blurry curtain, now becomes as clear as crystal. You see the horizon of eternity. It is not a place of darkness, but a realm of colors that do not exist on earth. Shimmering hues of emerald and gold that pulse with the rhythm of prayer. You realize that while you were worried about leaving the real world, you were actually waking up from a dream into the only reality that ever mattered. One final visit to the grave. You look down at the earth, now settled. Your name on the stone is the last anchor. The soul's primary residence shifts entirely to the stations of the Barzakh. You are no longer the person who died. You are the soul that lives on. The connection to the physical body becomes like the connection a person has to a house they moved out of years ago. You remember living there, but you no longer feel the cold when its windows are broken. You are free. The weight of the world, the debts, and the constant hunger of the ego fall away like a heavy, rusted suit of armor. As the shadows lengthen on this final afternoon, you see your family gathering for the 40th day prayers. They recite the noble Quran, and each word feels like a golden bird flying toward you, nesting in your spiritual heart. You see them give charity in your name, a well being dug in a desert, a child being fed. These acts of ongoing charity are the only threads that will remain. You smile. A feeling of pure light, realizing that you are not being forgotten, but being remembered in the only way that helps you now. You whisper a final prayer for them, hoping they understand that life is but a fleeting moment before the eternal embrace of the Almighty. The sun sets on this 40th day in our story. Let us remember that death is not an end, but a return to the one who created us with infinite love. We invite you to join our journey by subscribing to our channel. It is completely free, and your support helps us share these lights of wisdom with seekers all around the world. Please, take a moment today to offer a prayer for those who have passed before us, asking Allah, glory be to Him the Exalted, to grant them light in their graves and a beautiful reunion in paradise.
May your heart find peace, your faith find strength, and your path be guided by His eternal mercy. Until we meet again in our next story, stay with the truth, stay with the light. Peace and blessings be upon you all.